What's up, guys? This is Coach Grant with First Down Training, and welcome to the first episode of the First Down Training Show. What we're going to be doing, and this is kind of a new style video that we're going to be committed to. We've done like podcast, interview type stuff in the past, but we never really fully committed to it, so that's what we're going to be doing with this show. So pretty much, we're going to be discussing, we're going to be rating things, rating cleats, rating gear. We're going to be interviewing different guests. We have a lot of big guests planned out that we are going to be interviewing to give you guys that type of content. We're going to be answering some questions from you guys and covering current events in the football world. So today we're going to be rating some of the ugliest and maybe some of the best looking football cleats. We're going to be talking about some current events with some of the bigger high schools in the Southern California area who are going through a couple different scandals that I think would bring some interest to you guys. The school in question is going to be St. John Bosco in an embezzlement money situation, but we're going to get into that later. We're also going to talk about the Super Bowl and then answer 3 questions that you guys have left on past videos. So let's get into the show. So let's start with some cleat ratings, you guys. So we're going to be grading this on a scale from like 0 to 10. I haven't really seen too much of these cleats. This was just videos just put together for me. So this is the first time I'm seeing it and the first time that you're seeing it. So hopefully you don't have some of the cleats if they're rated bad. So first cleat that we're going to be going over here is going to be this like Travis Scott like concept cleat, if you will. I like the colors. I mean, like the green, the black, and the white. That obviously looks clean, but just the backwards like Nike logo, I'm just not the biggest fan of. So, I mean, I'd probably give this like a 7.2. I think the colors are great. I think the color scheme's solid, but I'm not the biggest fan of the backwards Nike logo. I think that kind of looks a little bit dumb. I don't know if that's how the shoe, I'm not a big shoe guy, but like that's just my opinion on that. But the colors are nice. All right, so cleat number 2. This is gonna be, now I know some of you probably have this one, but this is the Scooby-Doo like mystery machine cleat from, I think it's Phenom Elite, I wanna say is who makes this cleat. Probably the easiest way to say that you don't get much play time if this is the cleat that you're wearing. Like, I'm sorry, like it's just not the best looking cleat in my opinion. I think the colors are kind of bad. I don't know, I was a decent fan of Scooby-Doo growing up, but like this is just not the best cleat in my opinion. So I would probably say, like, I'd probably give this like a 2.3, if you will. I think the creativity's there, but I think everything else about the cleat kind of sucks. And guys, too, like I said, we're gonna be doing a lot more of these rating videos. So like if you want to send in clips, or send in cleats, gear, whatever, and you want me to rate it, that'd be no problem. You can just shoot us an email. We'd actually appreciate that, because we'd love to feature some of the stuff that you guys want us to feature on the show, of course. Okay, so now let's get into cleat number 3. Now this is a pair of cleats. There was a kid, we just had a camp, like probably, I want to say like earlier this month, so like last month, I guess you could say, about a month ago, early January in Orlando, Florida. And there was a kid who had this like denim Nike pair. I don't know where he got them, but in person, these are some of the coolest looking cleats like I've ever seen. So I would give this cleat concept right here, as I've seen this. I don't necessarily know the name of this specific cleat, but I've seen this cleat in person, probably like an 8.9. Like they're some of the best looking cleats. Nikes for me, I don't know, like if you're looking for like a good pair of cleats, I think Nike cleats, like they're not the most comfortable in my opinion. I'm more of an Adidas guy. Like I think Adidas is probably the best brand for cleats just because of how light they are, but like the material stretches with your foot, especially if you have wide feet. Like New Balance sent me these cleats like earlier this week. That's why I have them on the desk, just wanted to feature it for them. I'm not sponsored by New Balance or anything like that, but New Balance is great for guys who have wider feet because they make like wide feet specific cleats. Recommend getting a size down because these are 10s and I wear 10s, but they're extremely big on my feet. But anyways, these cleats, like the only downside I would say is that they're probably a little bit hard on your feet and not the most comfortable, but I would say like an 8.9. These are a solid pair of cleats, okay? All right, next pair of cleats. These are the like older school, like Nike Vapor, or it's a concept like Oregon Ducks type cleat. These are probably my all-time favorite football cleats. Like I know I just got done trashing Nike a little bit, but like these are the types of cleats that I wore at least when I was playing high school football. I remember I had an all white pair, and then I remember I had a white in black pair, which was very, very nice. And then I had another pair of these that I want to say was white and red, or white, no, it was white and blue. These are some of my favorite cleats out there. They're the most comfortable cleats. They're light, especially their low top. And then obviously you can't go wrong with like the Oregon Ducks colors. Like I think everybody who plays football, like when they ask them like, hey, what's your favorite team, or who do you want to go play for, they'll probably say the Oregon Ducks just because of the uniforms and the colors. So you can't go wrong with that. So I'd probably say this cleat is probably like an 8.5. I give it an 8.5. I'm not the biggest fan of like the bright yellow and the bright green, but I give it an 8.5. Some of the best cleats. I remember these cleats. They're absolutely sick. Probably my favorite cleats that we have. Okay, so now next cleat. I'm sure some of you guys have seen these before. These are like the Kobe, like the Mamba cleats. I forget the exact name of it, but they're like the Kobe concept cleats, or like the Grinch cleats. That's what they call them, or reverse Grinch, if you will. These cleats are sick. These are probably like a 9.4 for me, just because like I saw a kid, we just had a camp last weekend in Charlotte, North Carolina. And there was a kid, I don't know how the hell he got them, because the kid's like 9 years old, but he had these cleats, and they're some of the coolest looking cleats I've ever seen in person. Like, I think his dad probably has a little bit of money, because I can't imagine that they got these right when they came out. And I know the resale price of these, like I heard somebody talking to me about how these cleats specifically were like $1,000. Like that's insane, that's crazy, like on a resale. And it's probably for like a common size, like size 10 or maybe a size 12 or something like that. But these cleats are like the best looking cleats I've ever seen. So like I said, rank very, very high for me. It's hard to give a cleat a 10, because like, again, like on a grading scale, if it's a 10, that means it's a perfect cleat. Absolutely everything about the cleat is perfect. Give it like a 9.3, 9.4. That's what I would give those cleats. But again, very, very nice pair of cleats. I highly, highly recommend those. All right, so next pair of cleats. These are the like Under Armour highlight cleats, and these are like Maryland colors, like Maryland concept jerseys, if you will. Those like highlight, high top Under Armour cleats, probably the ugliest cleats I've ever seen. Like I don't care what the colors are. Like these are not the type of cleats that I would ever wear. Like I don't think I've ever worn a high top or even a mid top cleat in my entire life, but a high top cleat, especially with these colors, these are some of the ugliest cleats I've ever freaking seen. So I'd probably give these cleats like a 1.8. I just think like, again, like you might be able to get away with wearing those when you're like 9, 10 years old, but like if you're in high school, man, you probably shouldn't be wearing the Under Armour highlight or the Cam Newton type cleats. Just not the cleats to wear. And if you do, make sure the color scheme is on point, okay? All right, moving along. Next pair of cleats. These are the Phenom Elite, like flash cleats, like red and yellow. You know, I mean, I've seen these cleats before, like in person. A couple guys that I've trained wear them, and not to bag on Phenom, because we already bagged on them a little bit earlier in this video, but again, just those are the types of cleats where it screams that you don't get much PT. Like you're not a starter, you're not a skill player who starts. But I mean, at the end, maybe you are. I don't know. Maybe you are. Good for you. But I would say that you should probably go with something different. If you're looking for a low top cleat that's maybe light, again, I recommend Adidas. I probably don't recommend these Phenom Elite concept type cleats, but I'd give this like probably like a 4.2. I'd give it a 4.2. I think there are worse cleats, there are worse looking cleats, but that's what I would give these. Again, these are not cleats that scream out, I'm a starter, right? Now, last pair of cleats that we're going over today, you guys, is this like Joker concept cleat from Phenom Elite. Again, not to bag on them. I don't mind the Joker cleats. Like I saw a video on TikTok earlier this week where a guy was like bagging on the Joker cleats, the Joker gloves. Like again, I don't hate it. I would probably rank any type of like Joker, again, not something I would wear. I'm a pretty regular guy when it comes to cleats, when it comes to gloves. Like I want things to be one color, not trying to be super flashy. However, these are not the worst ones. I think the flash ones are much worse. The Scooby-Doo ones are way freaking worse. Don't wear the Scooby-Doo cleats, please, or the gloves. But I think the Joker one, I mean, I'd probably give it like a 5.8. 5.8, I think it's fair. Again, like I think it's a certain type of player that could pull those off. But yeah, no, I would say that these Joker cleats are probably not the best things to wear, okay, you guys? So now, that's it for our cleat ratings today, you guys. Now we're gonna get into some current events, okay? So we're gonna be going over current events. We're gonna be talking about the Super Bowl, who I got in the Super Bowl and why, and then we're gonna be talking about, like I said, there is this lawsuit that was just presented. It came out probably last week, early last week, about a high school head coach allegedly embezzling money from his football program and only taking payments in cash. Now I'm going to talk about why that's an issue. It's a private school, but honestly happens a lot more common or a lot more often than you might think. But before we get into that, you guys, this show today is brought to you by AG Labs, which is a supplement company that I own with my brother. We have a line of protein powder supplements, creatine, pre-workout, pretty much everything that athletes need to be able to improve their strength, to be able to make gains in the gym, and to honestly put on size and put on muscle mass. This is our salted caramel frappuccino protein powder, but we also have a cookies and cream flavor, chocolate peanut butter brownie, and we have a cinnamon snickerdoodle flavor. It's some of the best tasting protein on the market. So guys, if you go to the very first link in the description below and use the promo code FIRST25, FIRST25 at checkout, you get 25% off your protein order. But again, guys, some of the best tasting protein specifically made for athletes. Then we have other products to help with recovery, help you pre-workout, also to help you with weight gain, like our creatine powder. And again, same promo code FIRST25, FIRST25 at checkout if you want 25% off. All right, so let's get into some stories. So we're gonna talk about the Super Bowl in a second, you guys, talk about my picks for the Super Bowl, what I think is gonna happen. But first, let's get into this issue, because this is an issue that I read about. I had somebody send me this article, and then I actually did some digging into the actual lawsuit and what people are actually filing about this lawsuit. So the school in question is St. John Bosco, which is probably, honestly, arguably the second best program in the entire country for football, right? St. John Bosco years in the past has been ranked #1 overall. They've been, won the national championship. It's between them and Mater Dei usually. Mater Dei High School in Santa Ana, California. They're both probably 45 minutes apart. Some of the best football possible. And St. John Bosco obviously is a private school. Now they've had a coach who's been there who turned the entire program around, I might add you. His name is Jason Negro. And he's just like a Bosco legend, if you will, and he got the job, I can't even remember. It was probably before I was even in high school, and Bosco was not a good football program, and he turned that program around completely. I want to say he coached at Trabuco Hills High School first, did well there, and then got the job at St. John Bosco. Now, what the lawsuit that has come out is that there are 3, I guess you could say, people suing the school, and Negro, I don't know if they're suing him specifically, but he is named in the lawsuit, and it's the reason for a wrongful termination. So it's a wrongful termination suit. So all 3 people are alleging that they were fired because they knew about some shady business dealings that Negro was doing with the football program. So what they're saying is that every single payment, every single booster club donation, maybe not every single one, but a good portion of them were all donated to the program via cash. So it was not a check, it was not like a credit card payment, somebody didn't give them an invoice, they paid everything in cash. And what they are alleging is that Negro, in his coach's office, had a safe full of cash, and there was no paper trail, no record. That's why you do payments in cash. That's why, for example, if you're buying drugs, you don't give somebody an invoice for it, you pay them cash. There's no record of it, right? So you don't have to pay taxes on it, but also there's it's mainly just a tax issue, right? And you could also, when you're working for a program like Bosco, and there's a lot of boosters who have gone through the program and donate a lot of money, you could take some off the top for yourself, or you could take some off the top and go take the coaches on a trip. Allegedly, that's what they are saying happened. Now, do I believe that he had a safe full of cash in his office? Absolutely not. I don't believe that, because Bosco is not in the greatest area. Why would you keep hundreds of thousands of dollars in cash in the coach's office, which is where if somebody were to break into the school, probably the first place that they would go because of the amount of trophies that they have and the amount of things that they have in there. So I don't believe that, number one. Now, what I will say that there's probably some truth to it that I've heard is, I've heard from secondhand people that like, oh yeah, like my, this guy that I know donated X amount of dollars to the program, but it was paid in cash. And so what, again, let me retreat here for a second. What these three people are saying is that Negro would take the cash donations that he would get from the boosters, the cash donations that he would get from the football camps that they would run, because apparently you could only pay for the football camps in cash. I don't know if that's true or not. But what they're alleging is that he would take that money, he would take some off the top for himself, which is embezzlement. And what they're saying is that he would use that money to take all the coaches on these like lavish vacations to like Palm Springs before the season started, where they'd be drinking and partying and doing God knows what. And then they're also alleging that he would take that cash and pay for the tuition of his star players. So that's what they're saying. Now, the three people who are suing are saying that they knew about it, they tried to stop it, but the program wanted to protect Negro because of the success that he's had with the program. So what they wanted to do was, hey, you know what, we're going to fire these people and get rid of the problem and continue on business as usual because he's a good football coach and what he's done for the program. So that's why they're suing. Now, is there any truth to that? I don't know, time will tell. But here's what I can tell you about what goes on with private schools and public schools in Southern California, because that's where I live. I live in Southern California. Bosco is probably 20 minutes from where I live. All these public schools, like the school that I went to, Los Alamitos High School, probably about 10 minutes from where I live. Newport Beach High School, which we're going to talk about in a second, probably 35 minutes from where I live. So all these schools, there's all this talent in Southern California. And where the majority of the talent goes is the private schools, because the private schools are allowed to recruit. So the private schools can promise somebody, hey, like let's say, I'll give you an example. There was a quarterback that I trained who ended up going to St. John Bosco. And they told his parents, I think St. John Bosco at the time was $20,000 a year. And so if it's $20,000 a year to go to the school, they told the quarterback, hey, you could come to our school and we'll only charge you $100 a month. So you're in school for 6 months, so they're paying what? Like 6-7 months, $600-700 a year when they should be paying $20,000? That's pennies on the dollar, you guys, but that's how they do it. That's the game that a lot of these recruits will play. Well, hey, Bosco said they're only going to charge me $100 a month. What can Mater Dei do for me? Oh, your tuition's free, right? So that goes on. There's recruiting that goes on at every single private school. It's not just St. John Bosco that's doing it. Now, I wish that there's a lot of negative press around St. John Bosco right now, but how about we look elsewhere? How about we look at the Mater Deis, the Santa Margaritas, the J. Sarahs? Those are all the schools in this league called the Trinity League, right? Why don't we look at them? Because they do it even worse. Bosco gets talent wanting to come to them. Mater Dei has talent wanting to go to there because they want to play with the best of the best. What about the schools that are 3rd, 4th, and 5th and trying to climb up the ladder? They're doing shadier things than Bosco or even Mater Dei. Now, public schools are also a part of the problem too. I know a family, again, allegedly, at Los Alamitos High School where I went to, their dad, so is a quarterback, his dad is filthy freaking rich. Like, I'm talking like private jet money. He was getting players from all over the state to come to this small school of Los Alamitos, California. If you look up Los Alamitos, California, it's not a very big city, you guys. It's not like they have all this talent to pull from. It's not like Huntington Beach, for example, which is a huge city where there's multiple high schools. There's one high school. So why is all this talent coming to Los Alamitos and it's a public school? They have to be living in the area. So he was paying for housing. He was paying for housing for these people to actually live in apartments to be in the district so they could go to that school to be able to compete with some of these private schools so his kid could have a better year because he's a quarterback and he needs a supporting cast. Newport Beach High School, Newport Harbor High School, allegedly, there was a really rich booster who was paying for the housing of like 10 different kids who transferred in. And I don't know if you know anything about Newport Beach, California. It's one of the most expensive real estate markets in the world. And so like a 2-bedroom apartment, you're looking at maybe like close to $5,000, depending on where it is, a month. For some of you, that probably sounds crazy watching this in like the Midwest. So they're paying for that. So it happens. Recruiting happens. There are shady dealings that happen at every single school. I just think Bosco is at the top of the hill, and that's why they're trying to cut them down. But I don't think anything is going to happen, to be 100% honest with you. I think this is going to get brushed under the rug. Maybe there'll be a settlement, but that's just my take on it. I don't think Bosco is the only people guilty of it. Do I think it happens? Absolutely. But I think it's totally legal what they've done as far as recruiting goes. Now again, because it's like if somebody wants to pay for somebody's tuition, that's their prerogative. I don't see a problem with that, and that's how the game goes. Like, what does everybody watching this probably want if you're a football player in high school or youth ball? football. What do you guys want? You guys want a scholarship, right? You guys don't want to have to pay tuition to go to college. You want to take that burden off of your parents. So sometimes in the high school level at these private schools, they can offer that. Now, I guess there's a rule that says that you can't do that for just your best players, but honestly, like, how are they going to prove that? They could just be like, oh, well, he got really good, and yeah, so this is how it happened. So guys, I don't believe everything you read about that. If you do read up on it, obviously time will tell, and we'll keep you updated on the story as time goes on. But I'm telling you right now, it happens everywhere. It happens at private schools, it happens at public schools, especially in big football markets like Southern California, where I live. So that's all I have to really say about that. We'll obviously keep you updated on that story as well. Now, let's get into the Super Bowl, you guys. Obviously, big game this weekend. We got the Chiefs versus the Eagles, rematch from a couple years back. I made this prediction last Super Bowl. So after the Chiefs won last year, I was doing a live stream on TikTok, and somebody asked me, Coach, I know it's early, but who do you have as your Super Bowl pick for the next year? And I said the Chiefs. And the reason why I say the Chiefs is that Patrick Mahomes, in my eyes, is Michael Jordan for football. Now, again, you can be pissed off at that statement and say, oh, it's Tom Brady. I think Patrick Mahomes will eventually surpass Tom Brady as far as rings go, and I think in about 20 years from now, we'll look at Patrick Mahomes as the greatest of all time. That's just how I feel about it, and I think Patrick Mahomes has a switch that he could turn on and off, and he turns it on and he turns it off. He never turns it off. He turns it on when it's playoff football and when it's a big game. When you watch him against the Bills, that first drive, the switch was on. And nobody can beat Patrick Mahomes when that switch is on. Do I want the Eagles to win? Absolutely. I think Saquon deserves a Super Bowl. I think Jalen Hurts deserves a Super Bowl. I love both of those players. I think all of America probably wants the Eagles to win this game, but I just don't see them beating the Chiefs. I see the Chiefs coming out. Andy Reid's going to be prepared. He's going to have the guys ready to go. They're playing for the three-peat, which I think has never been done before. And I honestly think that the Chiefs are going to take it, you guys. So obviously time will tell. Next week we'll talk on this show about the game, do a quick recap of the game, obviously. But that's my prediction for it. I think I don't think it's going to be a close one either. I hate to say it. I think it's going to be a boring game. I think the Chiefs are probably going to win by maybe like 17, 21 points. Like, I think they're going to get ahead early. I think the Eagles are going to try to press. They're going to make Jalen Hurts have to throw the ball when they want to actually run the ball. I think if the Eagles want a chance, they need to start running the ball. Because I think here's the problem. What happened with the Bills? Let's talk about what happened with the Bills with the Chiefs. I think the Bills didn't get off to a good start running the ball. So they forced Josh Allen to pass. Now, Josh Allen's a better passer than Jalen Hurts. That's just a fact. Jalen Hurts, again, like I said, not the caliber of passer as Josh Allen. So if they can't run the ball and they stop Saquon and they're forcing Jalen Hurts to pass, I think they fall behind. But if they can get off to a good start running the ball and chip away, like on first down, they get the ball to 2nd and 3, then they run some play action, they start moving the ball, having these real long drives, I think they got a chance. But if that doesn't happen, I see the Chiefs winning by a lot. I don't think it's going to be very close, okay? So now, guys, we are going to be getting into some of the questions that you guys have asked in past videos. So as you guys know, if you're familiar with our YouTube channel, I read and respond to pretty much every single comment on every single video just about. I do it every single morning. I'll probably spend like 30, 40 minutes. And then at night, I'll probably spend 30, 40 minutes again going through all of our comments through like the YouTube studio, responding, you know, sending you guys different links to videos and stuff like that. So I wanted to cover some of that on this show just to give you guys some support back and, you know, I kind of feature you on the show. So I hope this is able to help. I hope this is able to help everybody who has these questions. So let's go over a couple questions here. So first question from BLK_Lou6086. His question, and this is on our 2025 wide receiver route running drills video. He asked, any tips a walk-on receiver should be working on to prepare? So if you're a walk-on receiver, there's a rule that I'm not 100% sure who it applies to, but a lot of schools are cutting back on walk-ons. They're not allowing walk-ons anymore, actually, you guys. And that's kind of a problem, right? Because a lot of walk-on players are really great players. Like, you know, you have like Baker Mayfield. He was a walk-on, for example. There's so many examples of great walk-on players. But if, let's say, you walked on, and let's say, for example, you've already made the team, and you're looking to prepare, you want to know what to expect. I mean, if you're a receiver at any level, youth level, high school level, college level, there's really 4 aspects of your game that you want to work on. Your speed, your route running, your press releases, and then your hands. And if you can improve in all of those areas, you're gonna be a better wide receiver. But that's what it takes to play the position. So if you're a walk-on and you're trying to earn your spot on the team, you need to improve in those areas, because those are the areas that are gonna help you close that gap with some of those more advanced and better wide receivers, okay? So now, let's get to question number 2 here. So this is from Ugliest. So he asks, hey coach, what can I do to stop my inconsistency? I'm assuming that's what he means. Inconsistency while throwing. A few days ago I was throwing 38. Today I threw 28. So if you're seeing a decrease in your arm strength, decrease in velocity, and you feel like you're not doing anything different mechanically, I really think that might be like just an arm fatigue issue. So like if you're throwing, like let's say you just got a regular workout schedule as an athlete, let's say Monday through Friday, and you're doing 100 throws every day and you're throwing 5 times a week, like that's 500 throws a week. That might be a lot of pressure on your arm. So you might on Wednesday be throwing again 38, and then on Thursday you might be throwing 28. Your arm might be getting fatigued. Could it be a mechanical issue? Absolutely. I think what I would pay close attention to is your front stride. So when you're throwing in the pocket, if you take a really big step with your front foot, I think that makes your feet super wide, and I think that makes us inconsistent with our throws. So that's what I would pay attention to. Also, don't be afraid to take a day off. If you feel like your arm is tired, you feel like you're fatigued, take 1 to 2 days off. Take a Saturday, Sunday off. Don't throw. You can watch some film, work out in the gym, but give your arm a rest, because that is important as a throwing athlete, okay? Now, question number 3. From Scott Landix 9802. So this is a question he asked on one of our other videos. Hey coach, I know this is not very related to this video, but I wanted to ask you about this. As a rising freshman who is on the skinny side, do you think you should give me some tips on how to really get the strongest I possibly can for this upcoming season? So when it comes to strength, you have to train for strength in the gym. So I think training for strength in the gym is each week trying to increase the amount of weight that you were doing on like your max lift exercises. So let's use squats for example. So like if you're trying to get bigger legs, you're not going to be maxing out on squats. You're not going to be doing sets of 2, because that doesn't really necessarily work on like hypertrophy, which is muscle growth. What you would do is you would stay in that like 8 to 12 rep range, trying to get as much blood pumping to your legs as possible, and that's how you put on muscle mass and put on size in your legs. For strength, it's a little bit different. You got to try to increase your 1 rep, 2 rep. I'm not a fan of a 1 rep max. I like anywhere from 2 to 5 rep max. Each week, you should be going up in weight. So like each week, like let's say you're doing very lightweight, 225, and that's your 2 rep max. Next week, let's try to add a 2.5 on each side. So now we're doing 230. And you progressively increase the weight week to week, and you will get stronger. Don't just stay at the same weight, because that's how you will plateau. Now obviously, to increase that weight and to make it easier, you have to do other exercises that build strength in your legs. So instead of just doing back squat, maybe we also incorporate a split squat, where one foot's on a bench and you squat down. Maybe we do like a kettlebell squat or something of that nature to still strengthen your legs, and then try to increase that 2 rep max, okay? So guys, that's it for the questions. That's it for our first episode of our First Down Training Show. We appreciate all you guys watching. Seriously, if you watched to the end. If you guys have any feedback, topics you'd like us to discuss, things you'd like us to do, don't hesitate to put those in the comment section below, you guys. We appreciate all the support, and we'll see you next time.